إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أيها الأخوات إخواني السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Today, inshallah ta'ala, we will discuss about how we do in the month of Ramadan nowadays. كيف تصوم في رمضان هذه الأيام? Please pay attention that we are not saying the fasting, we are saying Sawm. So when we look at the pillars of Islam, we have 5 pillars in Islam. So when we become Muslim, submit to Allah Tabaraka, then we have to believe. The belief is the mental function. You are convinced to believe Shahada that false gods existed in the creation of Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala, and Allah is the one who God, and that is the understanding of La ilaha illallah, and then witness that the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his slave and his messenger. The one, Shahada. The second pillar is the as-salah, meaning prayer, and that is second pillar. And the third pillar is the zakah, the annual payment from you qualified to extract a certain amount of the wealth is 2.5% of annual after one lunar year, and then you to the Muslim poor, that is called zakah. And then fourth pillar is Sawm, which we popularly know in different name. The Sawm comes in the month which his name is Ramadan, and once in a lifetime to Makkah al-Mukarramah, that is the fifth pillar. So all fifth pillar who claim to be Muslim must have knowledge of what those pillar mean. So popularly, there's a translation going on that a Sawm, is it fasting? Well, fasting, the word is inappropriate. It is the requirement of Sawm, because the fasting in the Western world, I believe fasting meaning is a kind of a prolonged state of not drinking, not eating solid food. But some individual understand fasting, you can drink water, like a dry mouth, you can sip 1 or 2 sip water, or maybe without tea, or fasting like a prolonged, like a 24 hours fasting for health perspective. But it's not the fasting, the word is appropriate for religion, because deal with only drinking and eating. It has another aspect which must from, which is sexual activity. So the word fasting is inappropriate. Listener should not use this word as a translation of Sawm. So what would be the Sawm? The translation of Sawm is Sawm. There is no translation for Allah is Allah. There is nothing like this. There is no translation for as-salah. Salah is salah. No translation for the Hajj, because Hajj is Hajj. The created from Europe to America, they are also called pilgrim. So some people from the came to the North America and occupied their land by any means, and then so the pilgrimage is a modern move. So it is not a Hajj. So as it is not an annual tax. Okay, so it is a zakah. If you are not qualified, supposed to give it, and then condition is completion of 1 year, and disposition is also authentic recipient. So there is no translation for zakah. So all the except shahada, which is witnesses, like a two shahadatain, two witnesses. One, this is the only true God who required the worship and befitted for him, and the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his messenger, were witnesses. Those you can translate as a witnesses, like a true witness, shahada, or witness, which is believe. But the rest of them, no translation. So our is very clear. There is no word fasting in terms of Sawm. Basically, an abstainment. Abstain. You refrain from fasting. Like you refrain. You are not. You for a time frame. You are not. But you could go after a certain time. So that is called Sawm. So of abstinence, okay, so a period, so it is not a fasting, so please do not use fasting. Now what's the big deal? If you argue, the number one, you are misinterpreted and you are under reporting a truth which Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala revealed, that Allah didn't reveal what you are saying. So it is some basic take-home message is to learning some vocabulary from Arabic, Quran, and Sunnah. That's the requirement to be a Muslim. So, period of abstinence, which is called Sawm, and the word Sawm came in Al-Quran and Siyam 9 times. Basically, the same word as the same noun has a different spelling. So number one, this abstain from eating any form of eating, which is eating goes to solid food. You are need someone need to chew, biting, using teeth or tongue or mouth. That's the procedure to eat a solid food. The second is drinking. Is from the water until any kinds of drink. And if you system by mouth, then it is a drinking and you cannot stay from. And sexual activity, which is very known to the usual sexual activity between male and female, that is abstain from. Normality. The sexual activity in the nowadays, the world, we are not supposed to discuss this abhorrent, disgusting topic, frame of some or religion in Islam. Islam does not deal with this, okay, which is natural, found in the civilization that Islam talking about. So, sexual activity means between a man and woman grossly, and that aspect of sexual activity which will come down the road, and we will see that is we should pay attention. So, who checked to perform the Sawm, which is we call Mukallaf, means a person who is religiously responsible. So, all the 5 pillars of Islam each pillar has different uh, like a requirement, how you became responsible. Like it's not like a Muslim child born in a Muslim family, and since he was born, and immediately responsibility shoulder or her shoulder. It's not the case. It case goes with the knowledge. So that's why we use the word mukallaf. The mukallaf means religiously responsible. Three component. So three component makes religious responsibility a requirement for a person. The first is al-bulu. Bulu is the like a boy or girl when they reach the maturity, what we call in Arabic the sinul rushd is the age of maturity. Like when a person does understand and prohibition, like do's and don'ts. A person understand what to do and what if somebody command or somebody give a written form of command or verbal form of command, the person understand and can perform the way the demand. So that is called age of maturity. So what of maturity is one for the girl is onset of a period like a menstrual it depends on what age, but for the boy is the wet dream. Is usually comes with the nocturnal emission of comes or semen is a sign of blue maturity. If and then other physiological sign is the, the pubic hair and also the hair axillary hair. So all this sign, if it does not meet together, 15 years is the cutoff age for maturity. So a person must be mature to carry out the responsibility of Sawm. So then we have another condition called aql, sanity. The person must be a sound mind. A person who has intellectual deficit, disability or deficit, or person mentally not stable, like a psychotic or very deleted information, so patient is not in a sound mind. So that then one of the condition of mukallaf is missing. So it will not make responsible to carry out the Sawm. The third, the most important is al-qudr, physical ability. If a person physically able to fast, then it's definitely in the early age. So, like from the age of 10 to 15, grossly in between. So, this person we can identify as a mukallaf min al muslimin or Muslim, okay, the girl and the boys. So these three conditions, maturity, sanity, ability, physical ability, together comes, then person should responsible, and if it is not responsible, mukallaf. So we cannot do anything for that person. Then what are the sources of information are going to present today's presentation? The number one source is Al Quran, and the second source, Sunnah. So the Quran, Al Quran Al Kareem, the noble Quran, and the Sunnah Mutahhara, the authentic Sunnah, both are the same level. There is hierarchy between two sources. The popular understanding, the certain community, they thought the Quran and the Quran, is the prime source of evidence, and if you cannot find it, back to Sunnah. This is incorrect, incorrect, absolutely incorrect. Rather, and Al Quran and the Sunnah both are the evidence, and both same level, and most of the time Sunnah modify the rule of Quran or explain the Quranic commandment. The Sunnah modifying factor or explanatory evidence what is talking about or stated majority of the time. So without Sunnah, carry out the commandment of Al Quran. So both as a source of evidence are the same significance, same powers, quality, similarity is the same. So we call it Al Quran as Sunnah. Then how it comes. So before we are going to perform, we must have a cognizant of ibadah. What is it? A Sawm. Why we are doing al-ilmu? It is one of the requirement of basic of a worship because it is fundamentally a physical worship. So what first deal is the boy and girl who is going to perform the he or she must know that what it is. It is a pillar of Islam, number one. It has certain instruction and it is a mandatory. And the purpose get closer to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That is the ilm. What is requirement? What are the obligation? What are the prohibition? How many days it makes? Usually it is a month of Ramadan, once a month in your calendar can be 29 days or can be 30 days. It cannot be 28 days. It cannot be 31 days. There's a difference between solar calendar, kind of logistic and like a laundry list of the knowledge. A perform person has to know. This is the requirement. Al-ilmu, cognizant, be knowledgeable about the worship. Okay, it is not the purpose to slim your body. It is to feel pain of the poor. Those are the distorted purpose. Nobody authentic the purpose. It is the fundamentally the worship to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. The one of the worship is that by performing we fulfill the rights of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala as we are saying that we are the slave and Allah is the owner in mankind, and then we are supposed to worship him, and worship is a Sawm. And about this we need a sufficient knowledge because pillar of Islam. The second is certainty, al-yaqinu. It is a deal when you really start the Ramadan. Say in North America, this United States and Canada are not a Muslim land, Muslim country. So nobody has authority to declare the Ramadan. So we depend on sources of overseas. Usually, the case that most of the time, other country they declare Ramadan and we follow them. Night before you start, you have to have an intention. and you are certain that you are going to fast or performing Sawm. Although I'm saying, but this is a Sawm, performing Sawm, so you need a certainty. Be sure, not like um, shaking in the mind. You are sure, certain, and you finish the month and there is no doubt in your mind. So beginning, no doubt, at the end, no doubt. And then each night you have to be certain that tomorrow the going to fast. So this is the certainty. Then ikhlas, sincere. Ikhlas, sincerity, this is the worship. You should abstain from many things: drink, eating, drinking, sexual activity, and also other um, uh, like not to backbite, slandering, taking all disobeying Allah Ta'ala. So nobody is watching basically. So you should be very sincere towards Allah Ta'ala that if you are hiding and eating somewhere, nobody is watching you, but you should be very, very thoughtful that Allah is watchful onto you. So you should be very sincere to perform, and this worship of sincerity, because a parent cannot monitor whether the son is performing Sawm, because if they don't understand, if they are not sincere, so and also the sincerity also require that the like thoughtful that you are doing and nobody is watching you and Allah is the one who is watching and you are very sincere to perform. Ikhlas. It should be genuine. What is genuine means? Like when performing song and and you cannot pretend. You went, someone is asking you, are you fasting in their language? And he said, "No, you cannot do that. Okay. You cannot deny to the certain thing because you're living in America and someone, a colleague or classmate, may have negative thought about you and you are your religion and you try to hide and you say, it's okay, I'm not going to tell you this and that. That's lack of genuineness. So you should be sidqun, truthful. You are perfect Muslim, nothing to be shamed, nothing to be hide, but your performance is genuine. Okay? So no other way around, no hypocrisy in your performance. Then mahabba. The performing the song, you cannot take it like a, oh, it is so difficult, it's so like what we call we have no choice, being a Muslim, I'm in big trouble now. If you do so, then one of the pillar or one of the requirement to worshipper is missing. Every worship you need to be a sense of loving or liking. Like you nobody force you, but you take the responsibility and you love to perform. You love because it will give you a benefit in akhirah, also in this dunya in terms of religion, righteousness. Okay, so you do not complain to anyone. Whom do you complain to? No one. You are in of liking it. So this is mahabba. Then the inqiyad. You find compliance means like the way it is designed, that way you should perform, like eating certain time, and the times should not be delayed, should not be hourly, okay, and you follow the what other things must be done according to the rule of Sharia. So compliance with the rules and prohibition and permissibility, permissible thing, you should take it easy, and all should sort of prohibition you should be abstain from and perform the way it is designed, applied in your daily life. And this is 100% compliance. If possible, then a great amount of compliance is needed, that we call it rad. Then the last one is al qabul. You need to accept. You need to accept all the worship by default, because other escape from this dunya. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Allah Tabaraka, his book Al-Quran Al-Karim, he mentioned that don't die except you became Muslim. So we accept all this condition, and and our behavior, it needs to be adjusted accordingly. It deserves accept everything without arguing or putting a question or in a doubt also. A doubt cannot be placed in the mind that what it is. Okay, so that is the total requirement for this Sawm. The time frame of the Sawm in a daytime. So the first Islamic calendar start with night. Okay, the lunar calendar, the Islamic calendar, meaning is we use the solar calendar, who start with the middle of the night, like 12 o'clock, and it goes 24 hours and then end up the same time. But that's not the case. Islamic calendar. Islamic calendar basically start after sunset. The night comes before. So in this fashion, we have certain uh, eating. We have a fancy knowing. Those knowing you need to. This is a requirement for the uh, developing your vocabulary and communicate each other. This is a tradition. By Muslim, certain terminal, certain terms and vocabulary is required to learn. You cannot literally, but you can understand what does it means. Number one is suhoor. We call it sahar, sahur, sahur or suhoor. Sahur, also both are correct. Not sehri. This is incorrect. There is nothing sehri. Usually, our Bangladeshi. So Bangladeshi is coming out a very weird vocabulary, and it is actually sometime is word or redesigned is not good to say this. Suhoor or sahur, it is a meal when you finish to eat the true fajr, or in the late night, when the fajr azan is designed to in the machine, or it is written in a calendar before that. You have to finish your meal. Even if you don't need to eat a lot of items in the suhoor meal, at least you can a glass of water. This is healthy and it is a sunnah. And this meal is a barakat, meaning is a blessing. The way you will be blessed in terms of many spiritual benefit, also physical, mental, and the benefit goes dunya. So this is the suhoor meal, sahur, and then when the dark in the eastern sky, a skyline in the horizon, eastern side, then eating and drinking. We should not do anything and stop. We call it imsak. Stop eating, drinking. This is dark. Like in the during the imsak, the adhan, the time of adhan is given in the time of imsak. That does not indicate you're supposed to pray Fajr Salah immediately. That's the mistake. Because the in the calendar, the popularly generated in the community, actually the time of imsak most of the time, and you stop eating to protect your Sawm. And then there is another meal who iftar. So iftar is the after sunset. So from the suhoor up to the iftar meal after the sunset, then this whole day from those three activities is called Sawm. So sunset, no, the Fajr is actually true Fajr. So in where you live in North America, people usually don't go out how the true Fajr looks like in the eastern sky, but they depend on there. But it should be very, very important because local masjid, they can make, if they do so, then you have to be aware of the timing. What that in the complete darkness you cannot pray Fajr Salah. Okay, so a sign of eastern skyline, the horizon, it should be some whiteness. As you see in the picture, there are some reddish horizontal line and the whitish horizontal line, and gradual spreading the line and getting whiter and whiter of true Fajr, true Fajr. So it is the how it looks like. Light pollution in the modern city like New York or Chicago or Toronto is very see the typical Fajr Sadiq in the eastern because of the light pollution. But you may depend on the local masjid on the Fajr in the dark when the time eloped or end, you just stop eating. Then sunset. Now sunset is like when the sun on the horizon. So when sun disappear from the horizon, it depends who you are. If you are in the plain land, then your sunset will be uh, time. But if you are in a 100 skyscraper, you are located. For example, you are in the airplane or you are in the top of the big tall tower building. So the sunset will be a little bit delay. It depends on you right now. The this is the sunset. When sun disappear from the horizon, you can break your fast, which is iftar. And only iftar is done by drinking a little water or dates or other soup, and then you pray Maghrib Salah. So the breaking Sawm and prohibition or keep Sawm. So now we are going to discuss a few serious which can break the Sawm or what is prohibited, you should not perform, and what to do. So those things. The first one is eat and drink forgetfully. Somebody beginning of the fasting, I mean the Sawm, the month of Ramadan, when the behavior is not getting used to, and in the daytime when you are classroom or workplace, someone is offering a piece of cookie or light, and you may eat or you may drink, but you are not aware that you drink or eat, like very little. Sometimes you may be forgetful, completely out of mind. It can happen. So, what you need to do, we'll discuss forgetfully. Now, then, if the female, their period, once they are starting their sound, if she or notice that her period start during the sound, then the sound. So then the girl or the female can eat and protect herself from the contamination of the menstrual blood. She should be mindful that her sound breaks up. It starts. So this is another issue. It can start, or it can start before stop also, period. And then what to do? You need to take shower. So those will be details. And for the boys, uh, particularly, drink, especially in the suhoor, if they eat a lot and go to bed, and because too much eating and drinking, there is a problem in their bladder area. It can give a quick arousal. At that time, the boy can get a wet dream very quick. In that situation, and what to do? So we'll discuss this thing, wet dream. It is a very common phenomenon. Somebody sleep in the bed after eating suhoor. That's very, very common, people. Then somebody vomit, throwing up. Now, if you need the vomit, why you are throwing up? Are you pregnant, or you have to vomit automatic, or you have some discomfort in your tummy, you vomit without any intention? So this vomit has a binary. Is it intentional or unintentional? That's the big deal. And the wrong is the intention. Then masturbation. Now, masturbation is the reality. It is a prohibition in Islam, grossly. And in the Ramadan, also perform this prohibition. But the reality is, if somebody does, a male sound is fine. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So we are discussing about the breaking or prohibition, or what to do those following situation, like a 5, eat and drink forgetfully, for the female, wet dream for the boys, vomiting, masturbation for men and women perspective. So let's talk about forgetfully. If you if you do it completely forgetful, then you ignore, you keep fasting, okay? You are not supposed to do anything, because Allah Ta'ala will ignore the way you are doing like a unintentional. You are not aware, all of a sudden you just put something in your mouth and you chew, as you remember, then you spit out, or you stop really eating, and then you realize, oh, subhanallah, and I made a mistake. So you just keep going and assume that this Sawm is valid. You can continue with the end of the sound. I mean, like a Sawm. Okay. Then, if a life-threatening situation, who work in fire department and he work a lot and sweat, he has a situation and that the intense thirst, like he's running from in the street for some reason, and the day is long and extreme thirst and cannot tolerate the thirst. And nowadays, hunger is not the issue, because the human they preserve the glycogen in the liver and the body for some energy which is usable not only 24 hours, it could be 2 to 3 days without having any difficulty. The main challenge in this sound thirst, like you are thirsty, you are dehydrated, you are looking for water, you assume that your situation is life threatening. Now, if you do not drink, life will be in danger. In that situation, you just drink, but you should not do anything until sunset. But you have to make a qada. Qada, the word is the remake. Like after month of Ramadan, you have to one sound is not valid. It should be after the day of Eid. You have to, because that was not valid. That's the ruling of light cut, and person only drink a little bit to support his life, publicly eating to, because a healthy individual to eat openly. It's not the case of the woman who has menstruation, not fasting, or not performing the Sawm. So this is the now. If you have a period, or you are having period already started, then you you are allowed to eat within family. It's not a problem in the public place. As a within family, in the workplace, you can eat if you want to. That's fine. As for women, if their period stop, then they will, and they can eat until end of the day. There's nothing to pretend. That's if you are eating in the beginning of the day, then you can eat at the end of the day. But you have to start. But before you take, if you perform salah, your prayer, you should take shower. So period. So, but if in your house there are some kids, children who may not understand and practicing Sawm, so then for tarbiyah, for teaching purpose, you are not supposed to eat in front of them, but no problem. Then wet dream. If wet dream happen, nothing wrong in the person who is experiencing wet dream. The semen comes out from the private organ, uh, the sleep, semi sleep condition, and then take shower to be ready for prayer, like for example, Asr prayer. So, any kind of wet dream who ejaculation, Sawm is valid, nothing to be worried about. We call it the state of janaba. Janaba is a defilement, and you are fine. You have nothing to do. Even it happens in the sleep in the daytime or early in the morning, the day. So then the vomiting. Now the if it is unintentional, as I said, like you have a disease, like a stomach flu, you eat something which is obnoxious, which is not good, you don't like it, and you feel uncomfortable, or you are laying down flat, something came to your throat and goes back again. Intentional. So vomiting, we call it throwing up. Your home is valid. You don't need to worry about. Okay. So, but if you are intentional, very rarely the person could be intentional unless he has a mental situation which intentional vomiting is, especially, for example, eating disorder. Okay. Some mental illness, some people wants to be very slim, there's bulimia, there's so they eat at the same time, they put the finger in the mouth and intentionally they throw up, then you the Sawm. You cannot eat until sunset. Your Sawm is invalid. You have to do it again after month of Ramadan. There is a hadith, authentic hadith is there. So the vomiting is the intentional. The same situation between the wet dream and vomiting, it is prohibited all the time in the Ramadan or in the out of Ramadan, uh, speaking. And if it happens, if somebody caught up in that situation, person should take shower because otherwise defilement is there. He or she cannot pray. And uh, then what happened to the Sawm? Now, majority of people saying it breaks the Sawm, majority. And minority scholar, it is haram, like a prohibition, but it may not break the Sawm. As a minority are not going into debate on that issue. Rather, it is a prohibition. You should not bad, but if you bad, then not eat or drink the rest of the day. And be mindful, you have to make wudu, then make a tawbah to Allah Ta'ala, during the day when you are fasting, you perform activity, mat, and then you ask forgiveness from Allah, and Allah will forgive you, but you have to make up one day after month. Now we're showing you a picture that wudu. As you know, to ritually pure oneself, we need to make it. Now, the big our community is coming from famous Bangladesh. I was born in Bangladesh. Uh, I love my country, but I have traditions. Even though I am born, but I do not like their tradition because most of the rituals based on some uh, evidences which is are not authentic. Invalidate the activity or requirement. One is wudu. Now, when we make wudu, we are supposed to wash our face. And in that attempt to wash the face, you need to sniff the water. Again, sniff the water into nose. And you can breathe out at the nose with the help of your two fingers. But our people in my country, like where I was born, what they do, water is not mentioned any hadith. This is nothing. It doesn't do at all. Be careful. It is not in Ramadan. Even without Ramadan, forget it. If you throw the water from your hand, water will not go into the nasal cavity. Why? Because internally you have a positive inside the body, the lungs. It is a plus. It is not a minus. It is always plus. So there's no negative pressure in the body. So if you throw it, the water will not go. Not throw water into nose. Do not. Not in the Ramadan, nothing. The second thing commonly our people does, which is they two finger in the nasal cavity. One is index, one is thumb, like a weight finger. It will not do. If you do not have wudu, you cannot perform the salah. If you cannot, your sound gone. Because the authentic hadith saying that Mr. Salatul Asr, all activity, al-amal al-yawmi, everything is battle, invalid. So it's very important. So do not insert in the nasal cavity. Okay. So what is mentioned in the terms of Ramadan as you Arabic text of hadith, it said like بالغ في الاستنشاق أن تكون صائما. There is an issue of making wudu. So what we are talking about in our culture, that when the person is making wudu, they throw the water in the nose. The water doesn't go to nasal cavity. So this is a requirement to complete the washing the face. So this is number one. Number two, as there's in the nasal cavity. So there's also a tradition that put in the month of Ramadan, they put two finger, index and thumb, a weight finger, to the nasal cavity. It is not good because it does not fulfill the requirement of wudu. So what the hadith said that istinshaq, sniffing water, month of Ramadan, balighu, meaning is manhi mubalaga. You not supposed to exaggerate, meaning when you sniff the water, you do not need to sniff the water all the way up extreme manner. That is a prohibition. But sniffing has no alternative, meaning is you have to sniff. Now, some misconception comes without knowing the human anatomy, how Allah Ta'ala made our nose and the pharynx and the route of eating and breathing. So that's why we are showing the hadith. The Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Asbigh al-wudu'a, complete your wudu. Meaning is if you do not do so, so wudu will not be complete. وَخَلِّلْ بَيْنَ الْأَصَابِعِ, and you go through khilal between your fingers, the feet and the hand. وَبَالِغْ فِي الْإِسْتِنْشَاقِ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ صَائِمًا. If you are not fasting, you should not do mubalagha of the istinshaq. Meaning is you should not exaggerate. Only the item of exaggeration when you are sniffing the water is not permissible. But sniffing water, it is a requirement, it must. It is the exaggeration of, I think is clear. Now I want to show you, look at the anatomy of the human body. So you are seeing the nasal cavity. Now, this nasal cavity is connected two-way. Like we have two nasal cavity in the back of the head. It is actually connected. We'll show you the video how it connected. Anatomy, people are thinking very odd. So you are saying the nasopharynx is the area where the water can reach. In the month of Ramadan, you are supposed to sniff water up to the end of the nose. Do not take the water all the way back to the nasopharynx. Even if you take the water to nasopharynx, it will not go to your throat. It will not. This is the human anatomy. I am a doctor and I'm telling you, it is not a culture, it is not a fairy tale, it is the truth. This is how the human being face working. But you have a sensation, but as if you are drinking water. Actually, not the case. It is a sense. But in reality, the water does not go down the throat. In extreme cases, the water can come to your mouth cavity and then you can spit out if it is extreme. So there is no way to drink water when you are sniffing the water during the wudu. Why? Number one, the soft palate. We have a two palate in our mouth cavity. One is called hard palate, another one is called soft palate. The one here, nasopharynx, the way I give the arrow in the just bottom it is soft palate. This soft palate, if you open your mouth, it goes up and it blocks the nasal cavity. The water cannot drift into the throat or into the mouth. So let's see a video. Now the condition is that the water, if you sniff water only one nasal cavity, it has a communication with the other nasal cavity. It will go directly for other route. This is the reality. This is how Allah made your nose. Or putting with water is not at all. Even if you sniff with the one cavity, it is still safe. But we are supposed to sniff both nasal cavity at the same time. But if you open your mouth, it will raise the soft palate to block the dripping water into the mouth cavity. So opening of the mouth is important. If you do not keep open your mouth when you are sniffing, then there is a chance to get the water in your mouth cavity. Now you can split out. In addition, in the month of Ramadan, you are not supposed to take more water into nasal cavity too much. Exaggeration, that is nahi. It is forbidden. That does not give a license that put a white finger into the nasal cavity as I described. So when you do so, you have a two choice. One is when you put the water in your hand, you can, a portion of water you can sip, like you can make a madmada, like a washing, rinsing your mouth. Same water you can sniff from the hand, same time when your mouth is open. So the main rule is keep your mouth open when you sniff the water. When you keep your mouth open, you are drawing air in the mouth cavity. It will raise your soft palate and block the water dripping into your mouth cavity. It will remove your nasopharynx. See the video, please.
Nasal cavities on each side are connected towards the back of the head. This means that fluid inserted under gentle pressure into one nostril will flow through the nostril and nasal cavity on that side, and then around the back and down and out through the opposite nostril. There is a flap of tissue towards the back of the mouth called the soft palate. When you breathe through the mouth, this flap of tissue is raised and closes off the nasal cavity from the oral cavity. This ensures that fluid in the nasal cavity does not enter the back of the throat and cause you to gag or have a choking feeling. If you do not breathe...
So, as you see in the demonstration, that if you open the mouth during sniffing, then the soft palate, it raises and it blocks the entrance of the water in the mouth cavity. If by chance water drip into the mouth, it will not go to the throat. Impossible. You need a voluntary action to swallow the water. Voluntary. You can still spit out. It's a physiology. This is how Allah made our mouth. So somewhere the tradition came to the country named Bangladesh, and we do not know. This is not in a hadith. This is not a teaching in Islam. This is nowhere. It coming from weird idea, the putting the wet finger in the nose and throwing water. Water will never ever go to the nasal cavity, as I said, because of the positive pressure inside the body. Now we'll see how a wudu can be performed. It can perform two ways. One is one water, and then you sip and sniff same time. Other way, you do the running out one time and sniffing another time. Both are okay. Let's see the video.
بسم الله. طبعا طريقة المضمضة والاستنشاق اللي بيفعلها الناس إن هو بياخد مية مضمض 3 مرات وبعدين يستنشق.
separate.
3 مرات. هذه ليست
another طريقة is
مضبوطة وإن كانت تجوز. الطريقة المضبوطة بنأخذ كف للمضمضة والاستنشاق معا هكذا.
So in this video, you appreciate that the person who made the madmada and istinshaq two-way. First time, the person he did madmada. Madmada means rinsing mouth, putting the water in the mouth. It is not a gargara. Remember, in our, again, do not take anything from Bangladesh. The Bangladesh is not a symbol of evidence in Islam. Evidence in Al-Quran and Sunnah. There is no gargara in Urdu, nothing. As popularly known in our community, they made gargara, when it is making a sound in the throat, gargara. It is not in the part of Urdu. You just rinse your mouth all the time. This is called madmada, not gargara. So this is number one. Madmada meaning is Swiss and like you just rinse inside your mouth cavity, very gentle way, not a gargara. Do not make a sound end of the throat or end of the mouth. It's not the case. Number one. Number two, sniffing water is called istinshaq. The water from the nose is called istinsara. So istinshaq and madmada both can be done in a one handful of water, same time. What the person is telling us, kaf, al-ma'ul kaf, like a one handful of water. So a little bit water is taken to the mouth, which is madmada, and the other little water he's sniffing. It can be done same time, or it can be done separately. That's the case. But in Ramadan, you sniff the water, no alternative. Only thing is, you are not supposed to exaggerate the istinshaq. And even you do so exaggeration, there is no chance the water can go to your tummy. Impossible. Unless you intentionally swallow, because the voluntary muscle is there. Unless you intend, then those water will rest on your mouth cavity and you spit out. But you will have a feeling as if you swallow. Actually, you did not swallow. It is a feeling. In extreme case, if some drop of water trickle down to your throat, your fast is valid, because this thing is not intentional. I think it is enough for you to understand why the wudu of sniffing water is a requirement. It is a requirement. Without wudu, no salah. Without salah, no sawm. Female dress code. Now, in Ramadan, in the Western world, we are saying there are many female their dress. They're putting a piece of cloth on their head, which is hijab. But it is something which is not supported by evidence. So, like the lower garment is a tights. So, if you wear a garment when you are wearing, but your female anatomy is visible, a person can detect all the body curve. You are using a pant, then it is the obligation as a Muslimah, as a female. Forget about your Ramadan, Salah, or Hajj. It is prohibited. It is a haram to walk around with this kind of dress in the Ramadan, out of the Ramadan. So we especially urging our youngster female in the month of Ramadan, please do not want this kind of thing. No tights of jeans with hijab. This is a nonsense. You are giving a wrong message to the non-Muslim, which is not good. Because if you do not cover your head, the person may not understand that you are a Muslimah. So wearing a headscarf on the head, you are giving a wrong message that in Islam, you can wear tights. So tight is not allowed, not in the Ramadan, but also outside. So this is our understanding of correct dress code is a requirement all the time, but especially honoring the Ramadan. So what else you can wear? You can wear a baggy pant. Look at the baggy pant like this. And if the lower part of the pants dragging in the mud or in the dust, your garment of the female is to hold. That's the hadith. If it is dry, it is pure. Dirtiness is not impure. Impurity and religious purity does not require cleanliness. No, this is a wrong understanding. A female lower garment, if it has a dust and mud, still it is pure. The definition of pure in Bangladesh is not the definition of pure of the dress code in Islam. It is a culture which is not substantiated by authentic hadith. So be careful. A female are allowed to wear a lower pants, baggy loose pants, which drag the mud and the dirt from the street. And with this pant, without any doubt, she can perform salah. She can perform anything. It is pure, no problem, as long as it is dry. That's the question. If it is wet, then let it dry. If it is wet, then it is a different issue. But grossly, it is wearing shoes. So this is a dress. The top part can be wearing a loose, like a coat. It's important. What we will do with Ramadan Sawm if you are out of the house obnoxious dress code. So that's not good. So Female should be dressed properly, especially honoring the month of Ramadan. It's important, very, very important. So it protects the dignity of the Muslim girl and woman as well as identity, and the temperature suitable cloth is uh, is available in the market. You have to strive or you have to tailor your own clothes for a tailoring shop, and you need some resources to make it. So it should have an upper part of the neck area should be shortened, and the full sleeve, and this should be a decent and not a very colorful, attracting other people, creating a fitna and trial and tribulation. That's not the proper way to dress up in the month of Ramadan. So here is the problem of the youngsters. In the month of Ramadan, there are so many ritual activity going around. Like we do this Tarawih, we recite Quran or complete Quran, then do this iftar, suhoor, lecture, and many things. So the youngsters, they got very, very nervous how to perform this activity. When you have a too many activity, then you have to make a appropriate triage of the ritual activity. When you have too much in your plate, you cannot pick everything at one time. So what are the way to select which way you should perform? Number one is sort out the priority. Which is the priority? Everything is not a priority for the youngster who is especially a graduate student or student in college or student in a high school who's supposed to perform. Their academic classes are going on. Okay, they cannot perform many things as is desirable in the month of Ramadan. So they need to prioritize, put a choice which is more important and which should get more priority, sort out. That's important. Number one. Number two, to understand difference between Sawm and Ramadan. Some activity is connected to Sawm only. It is not connected to Ramadan. They're not mixed together. There are certain activity we do, and it is encouraged, and it is a part of the month. But we are not talking about Ramadan only. We are talking about Sawm. So you need to understand how it differs. It's not the same. There are one or two, it has interconnected, but there is a distinct difference between Sawm and Ramadan. You need to know. Then there is a religious practice hierarchy, which is like a sorting, which is more important, the second important, then the third important, and what is the traditions. Those are the way to pick and choose. So this is the one. Now, how do you get it? The main idea is getting closer to Allah Ta'ala. Okay? This is the fundamental of all worship. We want to get closer to Allah Ta'ala. In order to do so, the first thing is, which is obligation, wajib. If you do not do wajib, then even you perform a lot of things, it will not help you, and it is inappropriate. That's why dress code outside female is a wajib all the time. Okay? You do, it is wajib. You have to. This is fundamental. If you do not do, وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُ عَلَيْهِ. My slave can be close to me if he perform the obligation first. Obligation. Obligation. So if you are looking at the month of Ramadan, fasting is obligation. How it happened, you need to know. You cannot put everything in the plate. Then if you perform the obligation, then you have to do other thing. That وما يزال عبدي يتقرب إلي بالنوافل حتى أحبه. That then anything beside wajib is nawafil, extra. That's the gross classification in binary mode. Wajib is the obligation or duty upon a Muslim. We call it fard, but basically the correct term is wajib, wujub or wajib. So duty. Now, fasting is a duty. That's the top priority. Now, if you bring a tarawih in the connection, then it is not connected to this. So there are certain things interplay. So first you need to focus what is an obligation to perform in this month. So you need to know which is the wajib of Sawm. Then certain activity is sunnah. Now it is without this, you still okay. Still fasting is valid. But if you perform that, then it is a sunnah. So sunnah, if you have a problem, you cannot perform, there is a reason, then your reward will be reduced. But validity of Sawm is intact. Nothing is reduced. Your wajib is intact without sunnah. If you have a reason. So it is a choice, make a choice. Something is mandub. Mandub is the desirable, like a desire. It is not in the sunnah, but it is desirable. Meaning is if you do so, it is recommended that you do for example, reciting Quran, Al-Quran al-Kareem in the month of Ramadan is a mandub requirement. Most of the people in the early age, they used to do it, mandub. So this thing is important to recommend. It is not a obligatory sunnah also. So this way, how you sort out sunnah is the second option after wajib, and mandub is the third layer of desirable activity. And you need to ask a scholar or read books to understand which activity is a sunnah, which activity is mandub, desirable or recommendable. The other activity is the maslaha. Maslaha is the public interest. Public interest. For example, a gathering in the masjid, and people hire a hafiz. It is not a sunnah to mandatory, you need to complete Al-Quran al-Kareem in the masjid, in the Salatul Tarawih. It is not. But it is a public interest that you have to bring a qualified hafiz who recite Quran very nice way. So everybody in the part of community can listen to him in the Salah and can hear the melody and the Quran al-Kareem. So that like a iftar party, for example, is a maslaha, public interest. In the masjid, people gather, all people, different places, they make a community iftar. This is maslaha, it's public interest. If you do not so, you are fine. If you do not complete Al-Quran al-Kareem in the Salatul Tarawih, you are completely okay, no problem. Because this thing is a convenient. A tradition came, but we do not have full-blown evidence from the hadith that you should complete one Quran al-Kareem in the Salatul Tarawih in the month of Ramadan. We do not have evidence. But why we are doing? It is highly recommended and public interest. People gather in some places, arrange this prayer and in the month. So it is a public interest. So there are many aspects of the fasting, like a month of Ramadan, as we said, Sawm and the month of Ramadan. So you need to know, are you okay with the obligation first before you go to second step, Sunnah, and then Mandub, and then Maslaha, which is public interest. As we said, the Sawm and Ramadan are not the same, like apple and orange are not the same. One is month, shahr. It may be 28 days, 29 days or 30 days. And Sawm is the daytime ritual abstainment from eating, drinking, and sexual activity. And it has a different aspect. It is a some way interrelated, but not the all the way, all dimension. So, and another is a zakah. Zakah is the another pillar of Islam. It has no connectivity in Ramadan. Nothing. You need to know when you became a qualified person to pay zakah. How? You need to know your nisab in the fiscal year when you are earning some money with your all expenses. If you have money and this money went to a certain level, then you should count the day you have that money or gold equivalent money and from complete 1 year. So suppose you started working a month of January. So, and then the next December, it will finish a year. So you cannot wait until Ramadan to give you zakah. Now, majority people, they they give zakah in the month of Ramadan. The reason is in this month, people cannot forget about zakah. So it is easy to calculate. So what they did at the beginning of their life, they have to pay advance zakah and adjust in the month of Ramadan. So a person can adjust their zakat calendar to the month of Ramadan for convenience. But it is not a month of Ramadan you are supposed to give zakah. No way. It is an independent and pillar of Islam. Requirement is not Ramadan. It is not requirement. Misconception. That's not the way Allah says in Quran. That's not the case. The Hadith said, some knowledge is a requirement. You have to be knowledgeable. You should not be remain unacquainted, uninformed, uneducated about this fact. So what we said, that zakah can be adjusted to the month of Ramadan. If somebody wants to do so, they have to give some residual month adjustment zakah and then can merge the next year. Then every if he has an income is stable, and then every month of Ramadan can be his 1 year. It is easy to calculate, easy to remember. For convenience purpose, that's the coincidence happen in the month of Ramadan. But technically, it is not related to month of Ramadan at all. Nothing. And there is no extra reward even you perform zakah, because it's an obligation, it's a wajib. It is, you have to do, regardless what time it ends. If the person die before the 1 year completed, he is not supposed to give zakah. That's very important. Okay, so what are the things related to month? Number one is sighting the crescent. This sighting the crescent is a worship. And nowadays, the children or the adult, they never have a time to look at the western skyline to see the crescent. But you can recite a dua when you see the new crescent, the month beginning. Then is the Tarawih prayer. If you have a Tarawih prayer, you know, after Salatul Isha, there are Tarawih prayer. Many masajid, they pray 8 raka Taraweeh and 3 raka for witr. So like a 11. Some masajid they pray 20. So we are not going to discuss those debate in this session. Where what we are saying, it is a sunnah to perform and it is not connected to Sawm. If you do not make Taraweeh and you make Taraweeh at home, like a 8 raka and 3 raka witr in the home, you are still okay, no problem. Okay, so even if you are making Sawm, but you did not pray Taraweeh 1 or 2 days, nights, for example, you are busy, still your Sawm is okay. Nothing problem because it's Sunnah. I'tikaf, the ritual seclusion in the masjid, male and female alike. There's no i'tikaf. Like you secluded yourself, staying in the masjid for 10 days or 10 nights, starting from the sunset of 20th Ramadan. So it's basically 21st Ramadan after before sunset. You enter in the masjid to catch the whole night, and then following day is the 21st. And from then you count down to 9 days or 10 days i'tikaf. Male in the masjid where there is Jum'ah Salah, or female also in the masjid where the Jum'ah Salah is happen. Itikaf. There is no itikaf at home considered to be a ritual sunnah. It is a sunnah. It is not an obligation. Like many community members, they select one guy forcefully or making some counseling that in our locality nobody is making itikaf, everybody is sinner. It's not true. It is not true. This opinion has no evidence. It is a sunnah. If nobody does in a community, still we are fine. Nobody will be punished for this. There are many things in Islamic Sharia people are not doing. So it is not a obligation, it's sunnah. Last 10 nights as a special like a spending time in making salah and worshipping to catch the Laylatul Qadr. Also at the end of the month, 1 or 2 days prior to Eid, meaning is 28th of the Ramadan or 29th of the Ramadan, you are supposed to give Zakatul Fitr with the food. I will discuss later, but it is connected to month. And on the night of the Eid, meaning is when the month end, the month of Shawwal started with the crescent in the western sky. Then on that night after the Salatul Maghrib, you can make takbir. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Lillahi alhamd, until you go to Musalla for Salatul Eid. Musalla. Again, to pray Salatul Eid in the opened area is a sunnah. It is not sunnah to pray Salatul Eid in the masjid, regardless where you live. So, in a given city, you have to look the people where people can pray in auditorium or in a gym or any public places. It is not a masjid. That is the sunnah. If you can, if you cannot, then you have to pray where is the convenient is. Eid prayer, and this Eid prayer obligation to go. It is sunnah, but it is a sunnah, but the way it is understood in the Sharia that it is an obligation. Male and female alike. Even female has a period start, and the female cannot pray Salatul Eid, but she is supposed to go to the ground of Eid prayer and remain seated and listening the khutbah of Imam and attending in the ground, making dua in this month, people make different types of dua. And at the end, recitation of Quran, Al-Quran. And people usually recite that is connected to in this month from the very old days, like a companion of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then their generation and their generation after, they used to recite lots of Quran Al Kareem in this month in the Salah and outside of the Salah. That's the connected to the month. Then the issue connected to Sawm, intention at night, as we said, and the delay, the suhoor meal. Many people, they do not eat suhoor in the late night. They said, I'm fine. I can remain fasting state until the sunset because I'm stronger. It is not a matter of strength. It is matter of sunnah. So if you wake up in the morning, like a morning means when the dark and before the Fajr time, you delay your suhoor, it's good. It is a blessing food. It is a sunnah. If you do not so, your Sawm is still correct. Obligatory prayer. Many people, they, especially the female, they are making Sawm in their workplace, they don't pray. If you do not pray Salatul Asr in the proper time, your Sawm gone, invalid. Okay, so it's very important. Men and women, you need to understand what is wajib to do this. Like going to the Friday prayer is not a wajib for women. Now in North America, what we see, many women goes to masjid to pray Friday Jum'ah. That's not wajib for them. Because you are not obligated to go. It is for the man who has obligation. For female, it is an extra. If you want, you can. If you don't want, you still fine. So why you are struggling? That's the question. Then avoid bad speech, foul mouth, backbiting, slandering. Those are the speech. So you're talking something which is not good. It cannot invalidate your Sawm, but the reward will be reduced. False witness also, you are signing some paper where there is a falsehood stated, and then avoid cinema and music during the Sawm daytime. You should not do that because it's not allowed in Islam in general perspective, general. Then hastening iftar. You have to drink at least a water after sunset as quick as possible, even though you are praying Salatul Maghrib a little bit late, still okay. But drinking water or drinking a dates or any other food to break the fast as quick as possible, it is sunnah. Now, what does not break fast has a laundry list of many things we need to know. Brushing teeth with the toothpaste, you are completely okay, even though you can feel the taste of toothpaste in your mouth, in your tongue, in your taste buds. There are many taste buds in your mouth cavity. It will naturally can sense the taste of toothpaste, or different kind of toothpaste in the market. It does not matter. As long as you clean your mouth, you rinse your mouth properly, and then you spit out all these remnants of the foam in the mouth and paste is gone, you are fine. You can clean your teeth appropriately. Flossing is good and brushing is good because hygiene and grooming is important because we are mixing with other people when we are fasting. And if we have a food particle rotten in the mouth, it does not fill the good smell in your breath. Even you go to dental office and your tooth is extracted by surgery, you have a lot of blood is coming from the procedure in the daytime in the Ramadan, you are completely fine because the bleeding does not break the fast, even though the tooth is extracted. Okay, only problem is in that case for few hours when you are doing wudu, you cannot rinse because there is a restriction only. That's the case. Wudu is okay. If you have a wudu before the procedure, your wudu is valid because bleeding does not break the wudu. But after procedure, if you do wudu, you can escape this wound area, meaning is if there is a restriction from the doctor, like there is a cotton pad is there because bleeding has a tendency to re-bleed again, then don't do it. Allah Ta'ala will accept your wudu without rinsing, and that case, particular that case, you have to perform, wash your face, sniff your nose, and perform all these things. Or very little rinsing is possible if possible. Means safety is the first. So this is special circumstances, special, but the bottom line is your fast is okay. You cannot break your fast. Your fast is maintaining. Keep your Sawm. And then if you donate blood, your Sawm is intact. It will not break the Sawm. So even you can be weak a little bit, may feel dizzy if you donate 1 pint of the blood in the daytime of the Ramadan. You're still okay, but you will be a little bit dehydrated. So it depends how strong you are and how it is important. The bottom line is this is not the reason for breaking your Sawm. So if you take a blood sample for investigation of any medical lab, still you do not break fast, you are still fine. Diabetic patient, when they prick the blood from the fingertip, is still your Sawm is intact. If you throw up a vomiting, if it is intentional, then it break. If it is unintentional, then it's okay. Keep going. Then if you put a ear drop in the ear, is still fine. That drop, if it is excess drop, the person may feel the taste of medication in the mouth area, like a pharynx area. He or she may have a feeling, but it will not go to throat. Okay, so that does not break the Sawm. If you put an eye drop, same case, it will not break, even though you may feel little taste inside your mouth because of the natural communication between the ear and the eyes to the nasopharynx or pharynx. If you put a nasal spray, if you spray for nasal spray, it's still fine. It will not break the Sawm because this spray will go to your nasal sinuses and the septum, and it is a medication, and there is no nutrition in this spray. As long as there, it is fine. It does not go through the throat. Same as like if you are an asthma patient, you take the puff because you have asthma attack and you cannot breathe. You need a medication to open your airway. Your Sawm is okay and nothing wrong. Everything is fine. If you use perfume, you spray the perfume in your body, in your facial area, in your shoulder, in your neck area during the daytime, is still fine. Okay, even it goes little bit into your nose, is okay, no problem, because it's not a smoke. It does not go through all the way down. Usually nobody inhale this thing because inhalation is dangerous. It is not a good practice to inhale the perfume because it may cause harm to your body. But just a spray in the body surface is still fine. Then injection, all kind of injection is allowed. Okay, so the condition is there should not be a 5% dextrose normal saline. If you take 5% dextrose in any saline nutrition, then you are breaking the Sawm. If you take only saline, your fast is okay. If you are under anesthesia, like you are in an operating table under anesthesia and you regain your sense after a few hours during the daytime, still fast is valid. If you are remain unconscious for the whole day, then your fast, your Sawm is not valid. You have to do it later on after the month. You just count down the day you are missing because of anesthesia. So the bottom line is, if you do not take any nutrition through injection, any kind of injection medication, your Sawm is okay. So like a insulin injection, your Sawm is okay, no problem. Then if you are a chronic smoker, like you are smoking 10 to 20 cigarettes in a day, as we know that it is not a permissible, there is a muharrimat. A great majority of the scholar and the Muslimun, and the majority opinion is not permissible to smoke even in the daily life because it's harmful. Nicotine is the harmful in the smoking perspective. Now, such a person, it is difficult to fast because many people in our community are smoker. What is the remedy? Well, the remedy is they can use nicotine patch first day, and then you keep the patch like a 12 to 16 hours. And then every day you put a new patch in different clean area and put the patch, so it will release the nicotine from the patch. So you may not have a like a craving for nicotine. This way you can stabilize your withdrawing from nicotine, which you can suffer from. But because of the route of administration of nicotine through skin, the scholar understood that nicotine patch does not break the Sawm. I think you got the message. But the person who is smoking, he or she is not supposed to smoke. Gradually, they should go for rehabilitation. One of the medication is a Wellbutrin, bupropion, 300 milligram in the name of Zyban. You can take few months ago before the Ramadan comes. You can perform a cessation of smoking nicotine. Now, if you use the suppository in the rectal area during Ramadan, you are not breaking your Sawm. A pain medication or some medication for fever, if you take it, or some other maneuver, if you take like this kind of very soft suppository in the rectal area, your Sawm is intact because it is not a food. The enter and the route also is not a conventional area to eat that route. So the bottom line is your Sawm is intact. If you use the fleet enema for investigation of your colon, like a colonoscopy, your fast is good. Even you are under a light anesthesia for a few hours, your fast is good. You cannot count is a I cannot fast. That's not acceptable, because in the month of Ramadan, if you have a physical ability, then you have to perform Sawm, unless it gives you life-threatening situation. It may be a hard, but you can perform. So that's and you try. But if you cannot perform, so wait until the end of the day and let's see how it looks like. If it is life-threatening, then you can break, and then you can make up one more day after. But it is not a general concession that you have a colonoscopy and you will not fast. That's not allowed or acceptable in the Sharia. Dialysis, if you are a kidney renal failure, you go for dialysis during daytime because dialysis fluid contains some nutrition, like a glucose, for example. So that breaks the fast. So it is highly recommended that the dialysis patient should go for dialysis night time in the month of Ramadan. It is better. But if it is obligated in the daytime and he has no choice, then they have to pick the day when the day are very short, very small. If that shortest day they cannot afford, then dialysis at the end stage, like based on his kidney function, how severe his renal function is, then there is no hope for recovery, and there is no chances to get a transplant, then that patient will give a Fidia for each day for Ramadan. So taking shower does not break the Sawm. You can take shower as much as you want to. You are completely okay. Nobody can criticize as you need. If you are tired, you have to sleep. Sleep as much as you can, no problem. Only thing is you should pray on proper time. So it's a halal. Taking a shower and sleeping is a halal thing. You are tired, you can do so, no problem at all. You should not use a terminology which is very highly prevalent in our community, a lighter Sawm. There's nothing lighter and heavier Sawm. Nothing. Do not create a term which is not substantiated by unauthentic information. Do not do so. So just regular as you need. That's fine. Then you can swim as well. It will not harm your Sawm. So what we are saying, it is as you require. Okay, so you are completely okay for Sawm. Now for female, they need to know that some clerkship is required for female. This is the like a what is the length of bleeding, like a period, how many days it lasts. It may last less than 3, it may go up to 7 or more. Now what we are showing, that they need to know two things. One is how many days the cycle runs and length of bleeding. Two things you need to know. If it is less than 3, then your body has low level of estrogen. You need to go to doctor's office to fix your body. Now if you have prolonged bleeding, then you are middle age, then you need to fix your bleeding also, taking some hormone treatment. And why it is important, you need to know the regularity. Are you a regular or irregular? If your cycle runs between 21 to 35 days, then you are a regular person. And if it is run, the duration runs between 3 and 7, then you are in a regular period person. Then you can calculate how many days they require. So track down your period written. So it is a very important in the Sharia al-Islam, because if you do not write, you may forget. You cannot plan ahead of time. There is a way not to have a period in the month of Ramadan. It's still okay if you want to. You can implant a copper T, or you can like adopt some other hormone therapy ahead of time, at least 6 months to do so. But it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Only thing there is nowadays is possible. If you want to, then you need a practitioner who is OBGYN doctor to perform. If it is healthy, it does not harm you, then it is okay to adopt an alternative method to stop your period, which is very, very challenging. And I would strongly recommend not to do so, because Allah Ta'ala, because of inconvenience, it is known by Allah Ta'ala. He is the one who is the creator of female, and He, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, is watchful. He knows your difficulty. He knows your the way you are suffering from, and you are having a menstrual period. Everything is known. So those inconvenience you have to face, Allah will give you reward. But Allah need your commitment to understand, to track down, to like any time it can start. So you need to prepare yourself. But when you are, like, for example, you are expecting period tomorrow in the night time, you should not make an intention that I'm fasting tomorrow, but if the period comes, then I will break it. You don't need to do so. You just, because you have nothing with you, just keep fasting. No problem. Now happen, period start, then you are not fasting, start eating, you are fine. Okay, just mark down the day you missed because of the period, and you should make up later way. How the blood color looks like. So at the beginning, it is a bright red color. Then it changes the color to the dark, and it becomes a pink at the end, or sometimes some person at the beginning. The light flow, and then it darkens. So the way I am showing you in the screen, do not consider me that I am a person who is showing all this thing in the public. But this thing is a part of education. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the female companion, they were sending their pad, their clothes with different kind of discharge to the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in order to confirm whether they are ending the period or not. So this practice is very old. Okay, they are very smart. They did not make their own decision. They sent it to the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his honorable wife, the Ummahatul Mu'minin, the mothers of the believer, they are educated to give a decision based on this thing. So this thing nowadays we need to know from the when it stopped. So the sign of stop is complete dryness. That's the bottom line. A discharge comes at the end, either brown color or pink color or red, depends. Anyone. And it's very little, as you see in the screen, then it stops. Now, when it stops, then how much time you need to wait? You have to put a sanitary pad in your private area for a couple of hours. That thing, you need a confirmation, meaning is no discharge at all. Then you wait for 1 or 2 hours. That expectation based on your experience. Experience makes you perfect. If you do not know your stuff properly, then the scholar, the doctor cannot help you. Even your mom cannot help. You need to be self-educated about yourself. That's a requirement. And that amount of knowledge is mandated for a female. You cannot be like a blind or naive not to know those information. This is for your deen. If you cannot track down when the period ends, how it ends, how much time it requires to have a complete dryness in the pad, then you cannot perform the salah. Salah 5 times is the pillar of Islam. Then you are no more Muslim. And you cannot fast. So suppose when it stops, you have to take shower. Then you have to make salah in the Asr salah. Asr Salah. You are not exempted for Salah. You don't need to make up Salah, but you have to make up the day of fasting. Very important. It is so important as if it is an associated pillar of Islam for female, because it determines the validity of two pillars, basically three: Hajj and the Sawm and Salah. These three. So three pillar is associated with this event, physiological event. So person needs to be educated. So another way, some scholar is said white colorless discharge. It is complicated. If you know that you are completely dry, al jufuf mutlaqan, jufuf, dry complete, then you are out of the period and you are complete, then take off your clothes and take a shower, then you are fine. Okay, but if you have a colorless fluid came either a little bit whitish still and nothing else comes, then still you are end. So qassatul bayda and jufuful mutlaqa, the complete dryness or white discharge. White discharge is possible, very rare cases, but basically dryness is the definite sign period ends. If you are pregnant, so at the beginning, if you are fasting, so you have a tendency to throw up. So in the time, if you are dehydrated, the beginning, the pregnancy is divided into three quarter, three trimester, first trimester, second trimester, third trimester. So there is a lot of challenges to have a normal growth development of the baby in the womb of mother. So the placenta itself and the dehydration is harmful. In that case, it's strongly recommended that the pregnancy period, when it starts and at the end, if you are in a one of the stage, then do not fast. Give Fidia for this condition. You are not supposed to make up a day the day you are in a pregnancy, not making Sawm. The same time, the breastfeeding mom, if you are feeding your baby through your breast milk, then at the beginning 1 year it will be challenged if you are dehydrated. But if it is second year, because the Muslima mother is supposed to feed their newborn kids for complete 2 years, hawlain kamilain, complete 2 years, then it is the right of kids. It is not your choice. Be careful. Do not use a word inappropriately. The Islam established the right of newborn. It is a right. A mother is responsible to fulfill the kid right. It is not a free. That you, mom, will decide whether you feed your child or not. That's not the case. It's opposite. The person is newborn who even does not know how to talk, but his right is established by Al-Quran. So in that case, it is better not to fast if you are a first year. A second year, if you are, the kid is not drinking enough breast milk, now weaning food is there like a baby food, artificial food, then you can fast, is up to you. Then the same case, each day they will not Sawm, instead they will give Fidia, which is we will come and explain to you. So, and you don't need to make up the days you did not fast. The post delivery, the baby, postpartum, for example, you deliver a baby, and after delivery, either you deliver through cesarean section or normal delivery, you may discharge some fluid which is red color, basically a mixture of blood and other fluid. It come like we call it, technical word is lokia. Lokia has a 3 stage. First 4 days is very red. The second 12 days a little bit brown, and the last 3 days will be like a little bit yellow, yellowish white. So total 28 days, maximum 30 days. So in the Sharia, we expect uh, 40 days as a concession not to fast, and even you cannot fast if you have it. So you need to complete dry for a couple of hours before you start your fasting. Now, postpartum period, the mom is supposed to be a breastfed mom. So the same story, they will give a fidia for each day they miss. They don't need to make up. Now, the diabetes. Now, before we go into diabetes, there are many chaotic slide will be in there. So, in the month of Sha'ban, the technically in this month, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make Sawm repeatedly. The month before the month of Ramadan. So this practice is applicable for diabetic patient. Though those diabetic patient, they want to check, though they have to do this thing like a total 7 times. They have to take the blood sample at least 3 days and go to the doctor's office and tell them this is your situation. So blood checking. Also in the time of Sawm, you can check blood those time. So as I said, 7 distinct time area. So if you are this diabetic patient during the iftar, as you see the this thing, the just before iftar, the blood glucose drop a little bit down. So, but the healthy part is the different. So the basically this 18-hour fast is not that change your glucose level. So nothing to be worried. Your liver preserve enough glucose. Okay. So even 18-hour, 20 hours is nothing. Only risk is dehydration, like your water level inside the body. So again, if you are a diabetic, you have to be very cautious, and if you have any problem, then you need to break fast if your blood glucose level goes to below 60 or 70. Technically, if it is below 70, then you have to recheck after 1 hour. If it is goes above 300, then and you have any other hypoglycemic, then you should not fast. You have to drop it and you do it again. But diabetic patient which is not complicated with the severe complication cannot give Fidia. The having diabetes is not the way to give Fidia. Fidia is not acceptable, and even you do so Fidia, your Fidia is not correct, because you need a thing. And then how do you manage the case in diabetes? Manage diabetes in the month of Ramadan, there are metformin popularly. Then nowadays the Ozempic, there is a once a week the injection. It comes for complicated diabetes patient. It's very good. It can maintain your glucose, and some medication you do not need to change. Some medication you need to change. You have to consult with your doctor. If your doctor is knowledgeable, again, the Muslim doctor not necessarily means they understand the significance of seriousness of worship. Number one, the doctor in the medical school, they don't study Islamic Sharia. They don't study in the medical school the hadith, nothing. So basically they are uninformed, uneducated in Islamic ruling. So such a doctor may not be a good doctor to guide you. But if the doctor has some experience and education and he knows the seriousness of the worship, then he can guide us properly. Okay, so that's the thing. I'm not going to details in the slide, but I'm showing you how to modulate who are taking insulin. If it is less than 70, then 4 unit pre-iftar, and suhoor, you 4 unit reduction. If it is 70 to 90, then 2 unit reduce. So this is the way how you manipulate your insulin. Okay, and you need a trial in the month of Shaban. Then you will be fine. If you have an adjustment and the 1 month ahead, then you can perform fast very quick. And the second thing, if the length of stay of Sawm it is too long, then you can select other day. Now the Ozempic is the injection which is once a week. You can take it and have a very good glucose control. You most of the cases nowadays people are very better off with this injection. Ozempic, but very expensive, almost like $1,000. But there is another one, Saxenda, which is not for like a diabetes person. It is actually medication for weight loss. So we're talking about Ozempic for diabetes type 2 or even type 1 is a very good medication. It give you a good glycemic control, one shot for 1 week. And Saxenda is the medication which require every day. So don't make a mistake. So Ozempic is the once a week, and you have a nice glucose control in your body, and you take the opportunity to fast. Now, another alternative is for diabetic patient, they can defer their month of fasting or Sawm in the shortest day in North America, especially the December 20th to 23rd is the day when the day became shorter, like a 9 hours and a half. So there's nothing wrong. You have a diabetes and you cannot keep fasting prolonged hour, and you are better, you can delay your fasting because ومن كان مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخر. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is giving a ruksa, a concession, that if you are traveling and you are sick, you can do your fasting or Sawm in other days. Count down other days in your convenience if you have a two condition. One is prolonged traveling. For example, those people who travel from North America to Saudi Arabia for Umrah. For example, the Umrah in the month of Ramadan is a very, very virtuous religious worship. So many people perform. Now, when you are going towards Mecca al-Mukarramah, Saudi Arabia, you can fast because that's not a difficult. Like if your plane goes from New York or major city of North America, you have few hours. But when you are coming, it is a prolonged day. If you do Sawm fasting, it will be harmful. As I have an experience, it goes almost like 22 hours prolonged from the suhoor up to iftar in America. So in that case, you should not fast or keep Sawm when you are coming after Umrah to North America. Just break it. You eat in the plane, you are fine. You should not be hiding or ashamed of what you are eating in front of other people, because those people, everybody is traveling. So that's the bottom line, and you can make up these days in the traveling missing period, missing days of Ramadan in other time in the nearest convenience. Now, if you have a chemotherapy patient and there is no hope that you will get better, in this kind of patient who has ability to understand what to do and what not to do, but physically they are not able, again, pay attention please. It is not a generic a concession for anybody diabetes will give a Fidia. No, it is a complicated diabetes. There is no hope that he will get back again normality with the help of medication. Then the patient of diabetes can perform a Sawm even minimum days. If not, if a cancer patient, if a HIV infected individual who develop AIDS or a pre-dementia Alzheimer's in the beginning stage of Alzheimer's, when person is not a full-blown Alzheimer's, still understand, still can make salah, but cannot fast a prolonged time because of physical illness, extreme age, very old, very feeble health condition, then that person should give fidya instead of each day they are not fasting. Okay, so but if a person who is like a vegetable, there is no salah, there is no fasting, there is no fidya. For example, this patient is in the Toronto, a Bangladeshi brother, and he passed away, rahmatullah alayhi. May Allah have a mercy on him. He is no more with us in this dunya.
শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? আমি একজন ডাক্তার, আমার নাম হচ্ছে ডাক্তার তাহের। আমি মার্কিন যুক্তরাষ্ট্র ডালাস শহরে জামান খান যে শহরে থাকে সেখান থেকে এসেছি। আমি আপনার পক্ষ থেকে আপনার
This is a patient. I visited this patient to the nursing home by me this year in the summertime, last year, and I spoke to the patient, and he has no sense. So the person has no aql, and patient has no sense. He's like a vegetable. Such a patient, no fidya, no fasting, no siyam, no salah, nothing. He is out of the mukallafa. He is not a mukallaf in the sharia. Same way, he is, so we don't need to see in details, but that's the case. So again, the other slide. I'm trying to communicate, but patient remain as it is, like a vegetable. It is not giving any response to me. Such a person is no fidya, nothing. So then what is the fidya? Fidya, you have to arrange the 1.7 kilogram weight of the food, a prepared meal. How do you arrange this thing? Best arrange to back home. In Bangladesh, there are many poor people who is suffering from poverty, cannot have enough in their table. You can pick a restaurant and give them money so they can feed 30 people in the month of Ramadan. One meal each person, the staple meal. The amount is local food, but this should be adequate amount. The amount should be 1.5 kilogram, like a rice, chicken, fish, dal, and other vegetable, and you can wait and estimate. It's a big meal. One meal for one person is enough. If you do so for 30 days, for 30 people in one shot, then you are done. But if you give each day, is still okay. What time is better? During Ramadan. If you do so, is good. Why? Because the hadith indicated the person who has sexual activity in the month of Ramadan during the day, the state of Sawm, he nullified his Sawm. So he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at the end of the discussion and dialogue, he gave dates to this person to distribute to the poor on the same day. So that incidents indicate that the fidya should be performed in the month they are living in, like a month of Ramadan. If in case person is not able to, then sooner is the better, because it's a responsibility and it is important. Instead of food, you cannot give a cash to the poor to eat. This is not allowed, because in the Al Quran al Kareem, Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala, it'amu tu'amu miskin. So, learning some dua. Now, one of the dua you need to learn was when you see the crescent in the western sky. Allahumma ahlilhu alayna bil yumni wal iman wal salamati wal islam rabbi wa rabbukallah. That's the dua. Print out this dua, and if you have a dua book, you should recite this dua when you are seeing the crescent. Even you cannot see the day one, you can try the second day, because a few days in the beginning of the month you can see the crescent in the time of Maghrib, and you recite the dua. This is Sunnah. So this is the one dua you can recite in the month of Ramadan when you see the new moon, new crescent at the beginning of the end month of Ramadan crescent, and at the end month of Shawwal. The second is the dua of iftar. You need to it is dua. If you cannot memorize, you just print out or keep the book with you and see it, read it. ذهب الظماء وابتلت الأروق وثبت الأجر إن شاء الله. That's very simple to recite. After you drink or you eat a little food, then you should recite. Or at the end of the meal of the iftar. At the beginning of the iftar, there is no special dua. You just say Bismillah and you eat. Bismillah. That's enough. So this is the another dua is if somebody invite you in iftar or dinner in the month of Ramadan specifically, then you should make dua for the host. The phrase of the dua is aftara indakum sa'imun wa akala ta'amakumul abrar wa sallat alaykumul malaika. So this is the dua for the host. The guest would say one time or so, but none of this dua you don't need to raise hand. You just recite, and raising hand is not a requirement for any dua. Then in the last 10 nights of the Ramadan, you have to recite this dua often. Allahumma innaka afubbun tuhibbul afwa fa'fu anni. That's the very simple dua. You can make a dua in the sujood. You can do others outside of the salah all the time whenever you have a chance. Then if you want to justify what you should do in the month of Ramadan, do you want to complete the Al-Quran recitation or you want to do adhkar? I would strongly recommend not to complete Quran, but to do adhkar of the morning and evening, because this is the commandment from Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala. Completing Quran is not a commandment. It is not in the hadith. It is not in Al-Quran. It is a mandub, a mustahab. People do it. Scholar agreed upon. That's it. But what is important, our community is forgetting or neglecting, which is adhkar of the morning and evening. What do you mean by morning? The time variation is after Fajr Salah until Salah of Duha. That's the time. So what you can do, once you finish the Fajr Salah, then you are resting in your bed. When you are resting in your bed in the month of Ramadan, you just take a book of dua and recite the adhkar, like a few surah and some of the dua in the morning. And also the same thing in the evening. What is evening comes from after the Asr Salah until sunset. After the Asr Salah until sunset. That's the timeline. So this is the adhkar. How did you get this? Any standard dua book. You can see internet everywhere. This is Allah Tabaraka Ta'ala giving a command. This is an ibadat, is a highly neglectful in the community. Very few people perform. It is not connected to Ramadan, but it is all the time. But most of the time, people are not paying attention. It is more important than completion of Quran in the month of Ramadan. I'm telling you, it's very important. It's more because this is ad-du'a huwa al-ibadat. Try to understand the hierarchy of worship. Okay, if you do those things, then you can go and complete the Al-Quran Al-Karim in the month of Ramadan. It's very important because those are the standard and other dua, entering into house, entering into restroom, going into sleep, wake up with the sleep, all this dua from dua. It is an ibadat. You have to establish those ibadat in your life in the month of Ramadan. And then Salatul Bitr. In this month, Salatul Bitr is a special occasion. So you need to know the dua kunud for Salatul Bitr. Allahumma hdini fi man hadayt, wa afini fi man afayt, wa tawallani fi man tawallayt, wa barik li fi ma a'tayt, wa qini sharra ma qadayt, fa innaka taqdi wa la yuqda alayk. وإنه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت لا منجى منك إلا إليك وصلى الله على محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Take a picture of the screen. That's the way you should do Qunut of Salatul Bitr. Now, if the Imam, you are making Salatul Bitr in the masjid, then you just say Ameen lightly, that's enough. You don't need to recite by yourself. You can listen, it's enough. But if you perform Salatul Bitr in the home, then recite and learn this thing. Do not recite other dua which Bangladeshi people popularly reciting. And I'm not going to talk this thing. There is no proof, nothing. It is not connected about a bitr. You need to, this is subject to be learned. So how do you perform Salatul Bitr? This is the time for rehearsal for yourself in the month of Ramadan. Why it is important? Because most of the masjid, they are doing khatira. This is a weird thing they do. It is not substantiated by any authentic hadith. This is a public nonsense. We talk about public interest. There is another one. It is not a public interest. It is a public nonsense, nonsensical. There is no right to do this in the masjid. But unfortunately, in North America, most of the masjid, they're giving a lecture in the Salatul Tarawih break time. So delay the Salah. Many Musalli, they left, they go home because they cannot afford staying, hearing this thing. This is not good. You are not supposed to give a lecture in between the Salah, in the Tarawih. You just keep going. Maybe you can take rest for a few minutes, that's fine. But giving the nonetheless, when it happened, you have no choice because you cannot modify the administration of masajid. So what you're supposed to do, if you return to home, then you make Salatul Bitr by yourself and recite this Qunut, and you are not supposed to raise your hand if you recite this thing. This is one option. But if you raise hand, then it's okay. That's not a problem. But priority is not to raise hand during the Qunut of Salatul Bitr when you are doing by yourself. Now, if you are doing in the masjid, then everybody is raising hand, then you can raise hand as well. That's fine. But one thing, make sure that do not wipe your face with your hand. No way in the salah or outside the salah, when you raise hand towards Allah Ta'ala, you are not supposed to wipe your face by two palms of the hand. Again, Salatul Bitr, after this, you have a choice of another dua before salam. Allahumma inni a'udhu biridaka min sakhatik wa bimu'afatika min uqubatik وأعوذ بك منك لا أحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. That's the dua before you give salam. Now this dua you can recite in the sujud. Also you can recite in the qawma. But that's regular salah. Do not put this thing in the plate and argue without anything. You try to understand. I'm talking about Salatul Witr. In the Salatul Witr, before you make salam, when you are sitting, finally, at the end of the salah, you are supposed to make tashahhud. Then Salat ala Nabi. Commonly in our community, they call Darud Sharif. Darud Sharif. I don't know. This is not an Arabic word. Darud is coming from Persian language, and Sharif is like a honorable. Is also not befitted in this dua. Is anyway. Is Salat ala Nabi. That's the terminology for that Darud Sharif. Then Isti'az bin Arba. You have to seek refuge for four things: the punishment of the grave, punishment of the hellfire, then trials of the life and death, and trials and tribulation from the Masih al-Dajjal in Arabic. After that, you have to recite Allahumma inni a'udhu biridaka min sakatik wa bi mu'afatika min uqubatik wa a'udhu bika mink la uhsi sanan alayk anta kama asnayta ala nafsik. Then you make two salam. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. Then your Salatul Bitr is out by salam. Immediately after salam, you should shout Subhanal Malik al Quddus, Subhanal Malik al Quddus, Subhanal Malik al Quddus. So the three times Subhanal Malik al Quddus, Subhanal Malik al Quddus, Subhanal Malik al Quddus. Then you are done. But do not recite in between four rakas. Some Bangladeshi, Bangladeshi has a troublemaker. This is Subhana Dhil Mulki wal Malakut. This is not from any hadith, nothing. It is nowhere is found. It is a bid'ah, and you are not supposed to follow this. So this is the end. At the end of the Ramadan, 28 and 29, or little bit before, you have to count down your family member. This is your guardian will do, or if you are a one, try to, like a later third of Ramadan, as close to Eid per person, local food, regardless how cheaper you are, the food is, or higher cost, doesn't matter. It is not related to the cost. It related to the volume of the food, and it should be grain. It should not be cooked food. It should be grain, which is not readily eatable. You give staple food, like a rice, dates, then grain, then you can add other spices to beautify this thing. Because these are the poor people. They need to enjoy in the month at the end Eid. So beautify your like a fitra. Give a additional thing like a oil. You can give oil or butter is allowed, grain, and also some onion, some other stuff is very cheap. When you convert it dollar into Bangladesh currency, is very cheaper. So they can enjoy. The people, the child who is born, and they should be included, number of the people, and you monitor them, but you are not supposed to give money in American masjid and you just come home. It will not be sufficient to perform this thing. It's a worship of Allah Ta'ala with the exchange of food that we are propagating from authentic sunnah. It is highly, highly recommended. and you can perform back because of your lineage to back home Bangladesh. If you cannot, then find out any other and try to track down other people. But you have to confirm that the food has been reached where it is given. You do not give a charitable organization and then you do not know what they are doing, because it should be given before Eid. If you are giving some organization, they will give food after Eid, then your Zakatul Fitr is not valid, because the timing is crucial. وقولوا قولي هذا أستغفر العظيم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Okay, there is the end of the lecture. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Know Tawhid First, and press the bell icon to get new video notifications.